Good morning.
Good morning.
We met last week, but for formality's sake, my name is Iris Williams, and I represent the state of Tennessee. When I was a kid, one thing that my mom always told me is that there are few things that we can control. But one of those things are our choices. Our choices can move mountains. Our choices can get us into trouble. And our choices can mean life and death. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about choices. You're going to hear a lot of evidence this week. You're going to hear a lot of names. But the name that I want you to remember is Hernandez Govan. And I want you to remember the choices he made. And even more importantly, I want you to remember the consequences of those choices. Picture this. November 17th, 2021. The victim, Adolph Thornton, and his brother. They pull up to Makeda's cookie shop on Airways Boulevard. They park the car, they get out, they talk to the cashier, and seconds later, a white Mercedes pulls up and Adolph Thornton is gunned down and killed. You'll hear from Dr. Juliet Scantleberry, the medical examiner in this case. She'll tell you that Thornton's body had around 20 gunshot entrance wounds to his neck, his chest, his arms, and a catastrophic injury to his face. But how did we get here? How do we start? Where will we begin? This trial will begin with Erica Thornton. She'll tell you that she is Mr. Thornton's sister. She'll tell you about the last time that she saw her brother alive. And she'll tell you when she heard that he was gone. And after Ms. Thornton testifies, you'll hear from Mr. Raul Hopkins. He'll tell you that he worked for security for Thornton for years. And Adolph Thornton just wasn't Adolph Thornton. He was known across the city as Young Dolph, a musician. His music, his artistry, his journey, his ambition inspired and spoke to this city in ways that a lot of artists just couldn't do. Thornton made his own way in the music industry, and he created a label called PRE, Paper Route Empire. Hopkins will tell us about it. He'll tell us that Adolph Thornton made his way in the music industry and created opportunities for other artists. But when you create opportunities for others, some people don't seem to like that. So Hopkins will tell us about another label, CMG, also known as Cocaine Music Group. He'll tell us about the history and the tension between these two labels. He'll tell us that CMG wanted Thornton as their own, but when he decided to pave his own way, when he decided to be self-made, he became CMG's enemy. Hopkins is going to set the stage for how this story truly began. And after Hopkins, you'll hear from Cornelia Smith. And this is when it all will click. Smith is a co-defendant. He'll tell you that he met Govan in 2021. They met through Smith's friend, Bobby Carter. And Smith has a couple of nicknames for Govan. He calls him Big Bro or Quet. Govan started out by selling drugs to Smith, pills more specifically. But that's not the only thing that Govan did. Govan chose Smith. And Govan chose him to do a job. Govan also chose Justin Johnson, another co-defendant, to do that same job. A job that ended in the life and death of Adolph Thornton Jr. He chose two desperate people. Smith, needing money, needing to support his family. Justin Johnson, an aspiring and up-and-coming rap artist that wanted to be on CMG's label, the very label that Govan had access to and was affiliated with. Smith will also talk about a meeting at Govan's house. The people present at that meeting were Smith, Govan, Justin Johnson, and Anthony Mims, also known as Big Jook. Now, Jook is the number 2 person at the CMG label. Smith will tell you that Govan said that there was a bounty on Adolph Thornton's life. In fact, there were multiple bounties on PRE artists. Govan told Smith that there was a $100,000 bounty on Adolph Thornton's life, and that the money was good. The money was guaranteed if Smith and Johnson completed this job. So what did they do? What did the two desperate people do? They agreed. And Govan asked for a $10,000 cut from each of them. He chose to ask for this cut from each of them. And one thing that is important to note is that Smith and Johnson didn't even really know each other, but they knew Govan. Govan was the link between them. So let's fast forward to November 2021. Smith hears that Thornton and other PRE artists are in town. It's Thanksgiving time. PRE often hosts turkey drives at different locations across the city, so they knew that they were around. Justin Johnson picks up Smith from Smith's father's house, and they go hunting. They get to a stoplight on Airways, and at that stoplight, they see a special car pass through. And what is that car? A blue camouflage Corvette. Most people in Memphis know that there's only one person in this city that drives that car in this region of town. Adolph Thornton. So what does Smith and what does Johnson do? They follow that car. They follow that car. The car parks at Makeda's cookie shop. And seconds later, Smith and Johnson pull up in a stolen white Mercedes, gun down, and kill Adolph Thornton Jr. in broad daylight. They get back in the car, speed off, but not before Thornton's brother, Marcus Thornton, fires shots and shoots Smith. So Smith and Johnson are in this stolen white Mercedes. But where do they go? They go to ditch the car. They ditch the car, and we'll hear from Sergeant Dabney that the car was left at 1174 Bradley Street, which they later found out is directly across the street from the defendant's home. After they ditch the car, Cornelius Smith and Justin Johnson go to an apartment complex to change clothes and clean up their rooms. Cornelius notices something. He doesn't have his phone. He realizes that he left his phone in the white Mercedes, the murder car that they left across the street from the defendant's house. So what does he do? He uses Justin Johnson's phone to contact his own girlfriend, Angela Arnold, and you will also hear from her. you'll hear from Angela Arnold and you'll hear from Cornelia Smith that she picked him up from that apartment complex. When she picked him up, he told her what happened. He told her that he was hurt. And he told her that he was missing his phone. So what did he do next? Smith contacted Govan from Angela Arnold's phone and asked to meet so he could get his phone back. Ladies and gentlemen, there are copious amounts of phone records, and Sergeant Browning will testify that these call detail records will support what Smith is saying. And if that's not enough, Angela Arnold will tell you that she and Smith met with Govan after the murder so that Smith could get his phone back. But that's not where it ends. Smith will tell you that at that exchange, Govan gave him money to buy a car cover, to hide the white Mercedes, to hide the murder car that was parked directly across the street from his own home. Not only that, but the day before Cornelia Smith was arrested, he ran into Govan. Govan was concerned. Govan was worried that Cornelia Smith had not been paid. And so what did he tell Smith? He told Smith that he was going to go to Privé to make sure Smith got his money. Privé is a lounge and restaurant that's affiliated with CMG artists. Ladies and gentlemen, choices. A choice to get two desperate people to agree to murder Adolph Thornton. A choice to guarantee them money. A choice to ask for a cut of that money. A choice to help one of the killers get his phone back after the murder. A choice to make sure that one of the killers got paid after the murder. Choices. When you hear all of the evidence, and when you hear all of the videos and look at all the photos and exhibits, you will see the consequences of Govan's actions. Violence, death, loss. A man, a human being, taken from this world in one of the most shocking of ways, getting cookies for his family in broad daylight in his neighborhood during the holidays. At the end of this week, the state will be asking you, the jury, to make a choice. The defendant is charged with conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and first-degree murder. Last week in jury selection, we talked about theories of conspiracy and criminal responsibility. And once you have heard all of the evidence, the state will ask you to make a choice and find Hernandez Govan guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Thank you.
Need to switch the screen.